perhaps a difficult topic, but definitely one that needs to be addressed. Joining me this morning is Laura Berry, Executive Director with the Indiana Coalition Against Domestic Violence. And Laura, I want to get right into it. These numbers, this percentage, it is heartbreaking and staggering. You say a 90% increase in domestic violence homicides since March of this year.
Yes, it's really depressing to hear the homicide rates have increased so dramatically. And we really can attribute that to our COVID pandemic, unfortunately. Since domestic violence survivors are having to stay in their homes during this time, there is such an increase between isolation, the pandemic, a decrease or a downturn in the economic situation for homes, an increase in stressors and tension, an increase in alcohol consumption and usage. All of these things contribute to an increase in risk factors that have a tendency to increase in lethality factors, which in turn increase the risk. And obviously, the lethality and the outcome for survivors of domestic violence increasing our rate by 90%.
Yeah, this is such, a tough thing to talk about, but we're going to hopefully turn this around and give everybody hope, because you guys have a new program just launched. So you're trying to help. This is called Indiana's Coordinate Entry System. Tell me what this is all about.
So this is a way survivors have said, really the number one reason they stay in a violent home is there is no safe and affordable home for them to leave a violent relationship. So the Coordinated Entry System is a pathway. It's called safepathhome.org. It's a way for them to get into and find affordable housing for them. So it's a coordinated entry system that's supposed to be a simple way for them to access housing support system for them through this website. And it's a coordinated entry system that they can access both through in every region in the state of Indiana, that can help link them to housing options for them that is safe and easy for them and affordable, that they don't have to stay in a violent relationship.
That's huge, because I know a lot of women out there, especially when you have children, let's be honest, that's your priority, and you're not wanting to take away that security for them, right? I would imagine, when people say, why don't you just leave? It's easier said than done.
Well, absolutely. So survivors have said to us, we conducted a 3-year study, and they said just because physical violence is absent, that doesn't make them any safer if there is not a safety net available. So think about leaving a relationship. If you don't have a stable household, a stable income, you don't know how you're going to feed your children, that is no safer for them than staying in a household with somebody who's abusive, but you can feed your children, you have a roof over your head, and your kids can go to school and they have access to their friends.
Right.
So if we can't provide that social safety net for survivors, they're in no better shape than they were before.
That makes so much sense. Unfortunately, what are things that we can do? What are the signals, the signs that perhaps that we can look for? Because I would imagine they're not always right there in your face.
Right. We often want to think about the easy signs. So we often think about the physical evidence that domestic violence is existing. So the bruises and the broken bones and the marks that are on individuals that are the easy signs that domestic violence is occurring. But that often is not what we're seeing these days, especially as most of us are staying at home, we're working from home, the isolation that's going on. So telltale signs that we might be seeing are excessive jealousy, further and further isolation, that you're not able to communicate with your friends, things like that. Children who seem to be scared and reluctant to be able to communicate and hang out with friends, inability to have conversations, somebody always controlling what somebody is saying and doing, harming to pets, things like that are often a telltale sign. Justifying and blaming somebody's behavior for what might be happening in the household. Those are all signs.
Well, thank you so much for reaching out to us, for talking us through this morning. And I always say, if one life is touched or changed or made better by something that we are able to do, then it is so worth it. Thank you so much for your time. We'll put your contact information on our website, indystyle.tv. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.